It's 3:17 a.m. on a Tuesday, and Mara Chen is looking at a pattern no one else has noticed. She has spent months cross-referencing parallel markets, looking for the specific moment a consumer shift becomes a financial reality. This chart represents the scale of that discovery. By bridging a specific gap in the current market, the data projects a $40 million revenue opportunity within 18 months, a figure backed by 18 months of case studies and competitor analysis. Mara carries that data into a boardroom at Pinnacle Group the next morning. She isn't guessing. She is presenting a roadmap to a room full of regional directors and senior associates who have spent their careers following the existing manual. She presents the financial projections and the proof of success in parallel industries. When she finishes, the director of strategy doesn't ask about the math or the methodology. Instead, he leans back in his chair and laughs. The room follows his lead. Notes are stopped and laptops are closed. In most corporate environments, this specific social pressure is enough to bury an idea forever. Most people would apologize, take the hint, and fall back into the safety of the group. That laughter serves a specific function. By treating the data as a joke, the director avoids having to engage with the facts. It signals to everyone else in the room that the hierarchy is more important than the insight. Mara has seen this reaction before. She recognizes it as the default response from an establishment that feels its boundaries being pushed. It is a defense of the familiar, masquerading as experience. We are trained to view mockery as a sign that we have made a mistake. When the consensus in a room turns against us, the instinct is to value the social belonging more than the objective truth we found. But there is another way to read that sound. If an idea were truly flawed, a room of experts would point out the error in the logic. When the only response is a dismissive laugh, it suggests the idea is actually a threat to the way things have always been done. The director's rejection was a matter of convenience. To accept Mara's strategy would mean admitting that the current partnerships, commitments, and processes the company relies on are already becoming obsolete. This chart illustrates status quo bias. Organizations are built for stability, prone to choosing a flat path of decline over a steep structural pivot. As that path loses value, they build institutional walls, viewing internal friction as a bigger risk than a shifting market. This institutional arrogance is a protective shell. By refusing to acknowledge the change, the senior team avoids the discomfort of admitting they were wrong, even as the ground starts shifting. Mara doesn't spend energy trying to win the argument in the room. She goes back to her desk and starts a silent 6-month tracking project. She watches the market every day, letting the real-world results become her next presentation. This graph shows the collision. As the company's revenue begins to drop, the specific market opportunity Mara identified begins to climb, exactly as she predicted. The data is no longer a projection. It is a live record of a missed opportunity. 6 months after the meeting, the board sees the same downward trend. The CEO calls an all-hands meeting, demanding to know why the company was caught off guard by a structural shift, now visible to everyone. Mara waits for the meeting to begin. She doesn't send her data to the director who laughed. Instead, she emails the findings directly to the CEO, showing exactly when the shift began and how much revenue was lost. Conviction alone rarely changes a company's mind, but when an organization faces a financial crisis, the weight of undeniable data becomes the only way to force a reckoning with truth. Inside the CEO's office, the atmosphere is quiet. The math is laid out in log and light. There is no room for dismissive jokes when the data shows a direct path out of a declining quarter. The company launches Mara's strategy 3 weeks later. By the end of the next quarter, the company records 23% growth, proving that the opportunity she saw at 3 a.m. was real. The director who mocked the idea is reassigned to oversee a market the company is preparing to exit. On a Friday afternoon, he is seen carrying a cardboard box of his belongings out of the building. Time is the ultimate stress test for any strategy. It eventually destroys certainty that isn't built on evidence, leaving behind only the results for those who were willing to see them first. Mara now works from an executive office overlooking the city. She keeps the original presentation on her desk. It serves as a record of the Tuesday morning when her research was treated like a punchline, and a reminder of why she kept going anyway. If you find an idea that truly shifts the perspective of an industry, you should expect to be laughed at. The established hierarchy has too much invested in the current way of doing things to see the value in its replacement. That mockery is actually a signal. It marks the exact moment where the competition stops looking. It is the point where the people in charge choose to look away from the facts you uncovered. Realizing a vision requires the stamina to keep building while the rest of the room is still laughing. The rewards of the future belong to those who trust their data more than the consensus of people who aren't paying attention.